Good morning. So today we're working on 2.4 to 2.6. We're working on the quiz and we're working with decimals. And the biggest thing that we have to know with decimals is we have to line up our numbers. So at the top we have 2 whole or 2 and 5. Oops, sorry, put too many up there. And 5 100ths because we always say the last number. And we're going to join that with 4 and 3100ths. Okay. So we have 2 and 5100ths and 4 and 3100ths. So what we're going to do is we're going to join these, and when we join these, we're just adding them together. And so we keep our decimal place in the same spot. And if we were doing this in math, we would just draw our line here, we put our plus sign, and we would say 2, 1 plus 1 is 2, and 8, and 6. So we have 6 and 82 hundredths. So number 2 is the opposite of what we just did. In the first problem, we joined two numbers. Now we're going to take away one number from another number. And the big problem that I see right from off the bat is I've got 10. I've got plenty up here to work with. I'm short here. I don't have any green, but there isn't anything here. But then when I look at the thousands, I don't have any thousands. So I know I'm going to have to borrow. And so when I look over here, I see 8 thousands. I have nothing. I don't have any hundredths either, so I can't borrow from there. So I got to go all the way over here, and I have to borrow one of these tenths and turn it into 10 hundredths. So now one of these gets exchanged for 10 thousandths. And I'm going to slide this over here a little bit for a second so we can see it easier. And I don't want to combine those two and get confused, so I'm going to kind of move them up here. Okay, so now I can do something. When I look at this, here's my 8. I'm going to have to take 8 away from this. So I take away 1, and what I'm left with is now 2 thousandths. And I have 9 here. I don't have anything here, so I don't have to do anything. But I'm stuck again because now I have 5 tenths and I only have 1 tenth. So I've got to do the same thing. I've got to take away one of these tenths and put down 10 more of the tenths. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I don't want to get them lost in there. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I should have 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, because I already had one. So now I'm going to take 5 away from here. So I'm going to get rid of these 5. Sometimes it's easier with your fingers, sometimes it's not. And when I get rid of those 5, I got to get rid of 5 up here. And what I'm left with is 6. Okay. So now I have to take away these 4 ones. And what I'm left with, let me come back over here. I've got to take away 4 ones here. And so what I'm left with is my 13 here, and then my 6 tenths, and my 9 hundredths, and my 2,000. So I would say this number is 13 and, that decimal says and, 692 thousandths. Okay, so problem number 3 is a multiplication problem. And what we need to know with multiplication is we do nothing. We just do exactly the same way with decimals and regular whole numbers, except for at the end. So our first numbers are that we multiply is 9 times 6. That's going to give us 54. And we carry our 5. And 9 times 3 is 27. 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. And we do nothing with that decimal. We just get rid of that 5. Now, this is like multiplying it by 70. So 7 times 6 is going to give us 42. We put our 4 up here. And 7 times 3 is 21 plus 4 is going to give us 25. So 4 plus 0 is 4, 2 plus 2 is 4, 5 plus 3 is 8, and 2 plus 0 is 2. When we look over here, we have 1, 2 decimal places, so we move over here, 1, 2, and our answer is going to be 28.44. Okay, so we're on problem number 4, and what I have to remember is PEMDAS. Anytime I see anything in parentheses, I have to do that first. So what I see in parentheses is 10.8 minus 7.25. And again, this is a subtraction problem of decimals. When I look at this first column that I have to subtract, because I always start from the right, there's nothing there. So I'm taking more away, and there's only 0 in that pile. So I have to, again, take away one of these and change it in for 10 100ths. So I'm going to take away 5 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to take away 5 up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I don't have any problems here. I'm going to take away 2/10, and I'll get rid of 2/10 up here. Uh-oh, now I'm back into here, and I've got all of these ones, but I don't have any ones here. So I can break this apart. So when I break apart my whole 10, I'm left with 10 ones. So again, I'm going to take away 7 ones, and I'm going to take away 7 ones. And what I'm left with is 3.12345 55 hundredths. But our work isn't done because we haven't done what we needed to do on the outside of the parentheses, which we needed to multiply by 6.5. So 5 times 5 is going to give us 25. I carry my 2. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 2 is 27. And again, we're ignoring the decimal. 3 times 5 is 15, 16, 17. Ignoring the decimal. I throw a 0 in here. 6 times 5 is going to give me 30. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 3 is 33. 6 times 3 is 18, 19, 20, 21. So now we just add these up. We have 5, 7. Well, I guess I could probably bring it down a little bit further so we could do it right underneath there. There we go. Hopefully you guys can see this. Is 5 and 7 and 10 and 3 and 2. So now we count our decimal places. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and we end up with 23 and 75 thousandths. Don't forget you have a 0 there. Question number 5 is an awesome one. I love it when they're easy. So here we have 8 into 24. Don't forget, just put your decimal up right before you even start. Just drag it right up there into the quotient. So we're going to divide our divisor into our dividend. Our 8 goes into 24 3 times. 8 times 3 is 24, and we're done. And then 8 goes into 6. It doesn't, so we throw up a 0. And 8 goes into 64 8 times. Ta-da! Finished. Okay, so problem 6 is a little bit different because our decimal point is being moved. We can't divide. It's almost like when we do the fractions, we can't divide with a partial number or a mixed number. We have to turn it back into a fraction that is an improper one. So with this one, all we have to do is we have to move this over 2 decimal places. And we're going to have to move this one over 2 decimal places. And we're going to put our decimal place right up there. The other thing that we need to remember with decimal places is that we can throw as many zeros as we need to after the decimal place. We might not need them all, but we can throw as many in there as we want to. So now this 0 is pretty much history. We don't need that anymore. And so now we're dividing 675 into 15, or 1.5 is our decimal, but we're going to go to 15, then we're going to go to 150. Still can't get there. We can get into 1500. So think about it for a second. What is 675 actually? Well, it would be 600. It's almost 700. So how many times does 7 go into 15? About 2 times. So when we look at our decimal place, we can't get into 700, will not go into 15, so we throw up a 0. It will not go into, okay, so today's error, if you weren't paying attention, and I wasn't, and yesterday I was able to copy and paste into here, and today I'm not, so I'm writing down the questions, and I'm not doing a very good job, and I apologize. So today's error was I wrote down the wrong problem. It's 6.75. Okay, usually when they're doing decimals, they're going to make it easy for you. So we've got to go over 1, 2, 3 spaces. So we got to go over here, 1, 2, 3 spaces. And what we do right here is we put a 0. So our decimal is going to go right here. So thankfully, instead of be dividing by 700 or 675, we're dividing by 15, which is a whole lot easier. So 15 goes into 60. Not 60, it doesn't go into 6, but it does go into 60. So 15, anybody? So 15 goes into 60 4 times. And we're left with 7, D5. So if it goes in 4 times to make 60, one more 60 will give us, one more 15 will give us 75. And then we just throw up our 0, and our answer is 450.